overview of what you guys know already. Do you guys know about the neuromuscular junction and like acetylcholine? Did you guys teach them that yet?
Yeah. Yes.
And okay, so before we get started, let me just talk about me. So my name is Keshav. Follow me on Instagram at Keshav Ratra. My credentials to be talking right now, besides the fact that I'm a medical school graduate from Harvard Medical School and a PhD from MIT, I like the muscular system and I don't like the integumentary system. This gives me further credence and ethos to be talking about the muscular system.
Just to say, integumentary system is a lot better than muscular system, so you guys will definitely like next week.
No, Josephine is completely wrong. Sorry. Okay, so who can tell me what neurotransmitter is secreted in the neuromuscular junction? Wow, you remember even though you can't. Do you guys not know the neurotransmitter? No?
Guys, it was on Tuesday. It was 3 days ago.
Wow, great. A hint, it starts with acetyl.
Acetylcholine?
Nice, yeah, acetylcholine, or if you're like an OG, you can pronounce it acetylcholine. That's just how the cool kids pronounce it. So basically, at the neuromuscular junction, acetylcholine helps secretes signals the muscle to contract by releasing acetylcholine, and then it binds to the muscle here, which causes an ion influx. And yeah, you guys know all that, right? That's just a little bit of review. Yeah. So I'm going to be talking about a really cool molecule called sarin. Sarin is a really cool poison that inhibits a certain. Oh wait, you guys know acetylcholine esterase? No? It's the enzyme that degrades acetylcholine? No? Ring a bell? Yeah, I need verbal confirmation. Okay, I'm just gonna assume you guys know that. So yeah, it's just the enzyme that. Why are we learning about different poisons and killing? The fact that poison is cool because the way it screws your body up is really cool. So basically, if you were part of my anatomy class, you know that I love cyanide just because it's the coolest poison. But sarin is also really cool because of this fluorine atom right here. Fluorine, if you know, fluorine is like really, really reactive. This is what fluorine did to a iPhone. It just destroys everything. It destroys more than South Scioli it does North Scioli. Like, that's how bad it is. Arsenic is trash. It's just a metal. It's just gonna deposit in your freaking liver and then just kill you. Like, it's boring. Wait, what do you put in pools?
That's chlorine, not fluoride.
Yeah, what? Fluorine is if you put fluorine in pools, yeah, it would eat your skin up. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. This is what fluorine just did to an iPhone. So imagine what it would do to you. So sarin has fluorine atom here, and this fluorine atom is just going to bind to basically anything it wants, but it really, really loves binding to acetylcholine esterase. And basically, this enzyme degrades acetylcholine. Well, we did not expose them. We only beat them by 7 points. So I would not call that an expose. Sarin basically binds acetylcholine esterase, and what this would do is inhibit acetylcholine esterase from functioning. And the problem with this is that now acetylcholine is like all up in the neuromuscular junction here, and then it's just constantly activating the muscle. And if it keeps activating the muscle, you're just gonna like keep spasming out. So if you've ever had like those random like muscle twitches, or like eye twitches or something, that means that there's like too much acetylcholine just randomly. Imagine having those like all the time. That's what sarin would do to you. Except not only would it happen in your eye or in your like fingers, it would happen everywhere in your body, and like your lungs too, and your heart. And yeah, that's why it's doping. I'm sure none of you guys are listening right now.
You're literally talking about like everything that destroys our bodies.
Is that not cool? Am I the only one that thinks it's cool?
Is this part on the guided
Kinda
note
cool.
sheet?
It's
No, it is not part of the guided note sheet. I have more poisons if you want me to talk about those.
No, thank you.
Talk
Can we
about
talk
them.
about a few more?
Oh, you want me to talk about a few more? What? Okay, I will talk about,
More.
what? What did someone say?
More poisons.
Okay, sure. I will talk about cyanide then. So cyanide, so like you guys know like oxygen, right? You use oxygen to breathe. I hope you guys know that you use oxygen to breathe. So there is this pathway that helps you make ATP. I hope you guys know what ATP is.
Yeah.
These burning slings. Oh, you don't know? Does no one know what ATP is? Josephine, would you care to enlighten what the students what ATP is?
ATP is the body's source of energy because
Oh, wow.
it's a high energy molecule. It has 3 phosphates, and when you break apart one of the phosphates, then get a lot of energy. So yeah, that's my explanation.
Nice, amazing. Yeah, that's how your body uses up energy and does basically everything. Yeah, adenosine triphosphate. So cyanide does is it's going to inhibit producing adenosine triphosphate. So that means that means like as soon as you breathe cyanide in, your body's not going to be able to do anything. So it's just going to be like paralyzed. And for like 20 minutes, you're just going to be sitting there. You'll probably lose like sensory function. You'll probably, well, first you're going to have like muscle weakness. You will have difficulty breathing. So you're going to sit down. Then you'll probably faint. Then you'll lose sensory function. So you won't be able to like smell, hear, see, or anything. And then that's how you're going to die. It's one of the like fastest acting poisons. Like it'll probably kill you in like 20 minutes.
Wait, what's like the slowest poison that you don't notice at first, but then like activates over time?
Oh, there's one poison like that. It's called a ricin. It's not found in rice, contrary to popular belief. It's a poison found in a bean plant called the castor bean, I think. Basically, you guys know proteins, right? Proteins, like they help you function in every part of your body. Basically what ricin is going to do, it's going to like chill for like a long time in your stomach, but then all of a sudden your body is going to like absorb it in large amounts, and then it's going to inhibit protein production. So your body is not going to be able to do anything, and then you're going to die.
How long does it take to like?
3 days. Like there was this guy. There's like a really famous story about this. Like this newspaper guy. He like bent over to pick a coin or something, and this guy from behind him had like an umbrella with like a ricin bullet, and he shot the guy. He shot the guy in his back or something, and 3 days after he got a fever and died. And they found that he didn't die from a fever, he died from ricin poisoning. I forgot the guy's name. He was like some newspaper editor guy, something like that. Yeah, it's very cool. Okay, I'm sure you guys have to actually talk about real cool stuff now. Let me see if I can think of one more poison. Do we have any requests for a poison? Anthrax is not a poison. Oh yeah, Georgy Markov. That's what his name was. Anthrax, heroin, cocaine. Cyanide. I already talked about that. It basically works the same way as normal cyanide. Let me think of a good poison. I'm sure you guys know how heroin works and cocaine. Arsenic? Oh, I think arsenic is pretty good. I think that's how Mozart died. It was either arsenic or polonium or some element. So arsenic is. I'm actually not sure how arsenic works. Yeah, I don't know how arsenic works. You'd have to Google that. Oh, polonium is really cool. So polonium is in like this gaseous thing. So like it can like just stay in the air. Basically, like when you breathe polonium in, what's gonna happen is like you guys know radiation and how like excess radiation can cause like cancer and stuff. So polonium is naturally radioactive. So once you breathe polonium in, it's just going to release like radiation from the inside of you. So basically, it's going to eat your lungs from inside out, and then yeah, that's how it kills you.
Wait,
Oh my God, so many toxins. Wait, does someone have a question or something?
yeah, is there like a poison that like eats your like bones and stuff like that?
I don't know about a poison that eats bones, but there's an acid that does that. It's called a fluoroantimonic acid. It's like this it has fluorine in it, and fluorine likes to bond with calcium, and I'm sure you guys know that there's calcium in your bones. So acid is really easy to dissolve the skin. That's not a problem. But like if you were to like drop fluoroantimonic acid on your like arm or something, it would go right through and just eat everything because it would just eat your bone. Yeah, super acid. Do venom?
So if someone's
What
about to
venom?
attack, if someone was about to attack me, can I just take a bottle of fluorine and like for self-defense, like splash it on them?
Self-defense? Okay. How are you going to convince people that you use fluoroantimonic acid for self-defense? Oh wait, you can't even. Like it would eat through glass, any container you put it in, except for
Oh
Teflon.
yeah. Oh no, then it would go on my home floor. Then it would go on my home floor too.
Yeah, and then it'll eat concrete. Yeah. Except for something called Teflon. It's like the strongest thing in organic chemistry. Like it's just a bunch of carbons and fluorine.
I thought it was a
something
type
like
of plastic.
that. Something like that. Yeah. Oh, you want to do mercury? Mercury is cool also. So mercury, like there was this case where like someone was wearing gloves and accidentally spilled the mercury on their hand, except that the mercury went through their glove into their skin, and then after it went into their skin, it went through their bloodstream, and then it went into their brain. Like most things can't cross the brain, like cyanide can't. A lot of other proteins can't, but mercury can. So once it crossed the brain, it caused like an insane amount of problems, like muscle weakness, emotion problems, basically everything, because your brain controls like 80% of your body function. Yeah. So that's how mercury works. Pretty cool.
So will that make so it will like make you go crazy?
Not necessarily. It would just like all the normal reactions you have, it would prevent. So like if it infects this certain part of if it infects one part of the brain, you could like not feel thirsty anymore at all. Or if it infects like the top part of your brain, like right here, you might not be able to feel any pain. Like it would just do random things.
Oh, that's also a disease where like you don't feel any pain. At first, someone told me that, and I thought it was good. And then I realized if you get like hurt, if you get like, suppose someone just like comes and like kicks you in the back and like breaks all of your bones, then you wouldn't even feel it, and then you wouldn't know what happened, and then you wouldn't be able to get help.
What? I didn't get that.
Okay, look, suppose if you had that disease that you couldn't feel any pain. Someone told me that, and at first I thought it was good. And then I realized, what if someone just came while you were walking peacefully and like kicked you in the back, and then you broke all your bones, and then like you wouldn't be able to feel it, and you wouldn't be able to get help, and then you'd just be a lump forever. Wouldn't that work? Like,
I guess that would. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Sure. Okay, someone wants bactrocotoxin. So this is a cardiac inhibitor. So what it's going to do is after you ingest it, it's going to go to your heart, and then like you guys know how the heart pumps rhythmically, like it's going to pump like at the same time interval. So what it's going to do is mess it up, and then so like and then basically you're just going to be pumping at random times. So your blood is not going to get to your body, and then you're going to lose oxygen, and then you're going to die. That's just, yeah. It's not as cool as the other one.
New messages in the chat.
So Daphne and Josephine, when do you guys want to actually start real science?
What?
When do you guys want to start teaching? Like, are you good for doing other things?
You can talk for longer. I think everyone's enjoying it. I'll be able to finish the
sure.
lesson in like 20 minutes, so.
Sure. What are some other poisons? Did someone say amatoxin or something? Snake venom? Let me Google that. What's
You
in
mean
snake
North Scioli?
Wait, so if a thermometer breaks, do you have to get someone to like specially clean it, like, because it'll go through your skin?
Certain thermometers. Now we use electric thermometers where we don't need the mercury in it. But if you're like really old school, yeah, I think if you have like a big drop of mercury, I'd say about 1 gram, or 1 milliliter of mercury. You'd probably need a hazmat suit team to come and clean it up, because anyone who touches that, yeah, you're gonna need to be hospitalized.
I have a question.
Okay, like don't try to spam in the chat. I'll be able to see it. I'll be able to see the toxin that you guys want to talk about. Okay, toxin. I do not know what this is. It's a dinoflagellate, intraperitoneal. Oh, this is really cool. Okay, so madotoxin, it's going to destroy cells individually. So what it's going to, you know how there's cells need like a specific amount of ions inside them in order to remain stable. What madotoxin does is it messes up that ion balance. And so this would basically cause the cell membrane to like break. And then the cell basically dies. It's going to do this to basically every cell in the body. So you basically won't have enough functioning cells to live. That's madotoxin. Carborane acid? The heck is this? Oh my God. This looks like a virus. Strongest. Oh, okay. So carborane acids are basically like fluoroantimonic acids. It's just that they use chlorine instead of fluorine, which is significantly less strong. So it works the same way, but it won't be able to do cool things like melt through your bone. Yeah, that's why fluoroantimonic is better. It can go through your bone, but this
did you say
is
chlorine? Wait, did you say chlorine?
Yeah, carborane acid would basically have a bunch of chlorines in it, I think.
That's
That's
like
what
what
I'm
we swim in. Wait, that's what we swim in when we go to a pool.
Yeah. Actually, there's a cool thing about chlorine in pools. If you had like a huge like bucket of bleach and you poured it into a pool, it would form chlorine gas on the top of it. So anytime anyone would jump in, they would suffocate because of chlorine gas. So yeah, don't pour bleach into a pool. Don't try that.
I really have got to try it.
What if you pour like one like speck of it, like very little?
No, that's fine. The water will dissolve that. But if you saturate the water enough, chlorine, there'll just be like a layer of green gas right on top of the chlorine pool.
I have a question.
It would take a lot of bleach. It would depend on the size. Yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, what type of poisons like look like something else, like something that's not harmful or like very harmful? Like poisons that look like water or something.
Wait, so are you asking about a poison that's like not harmful but turns harmful or something?
No, like that looks like it's not harmful. Like it looks like water or like something that's not harmful, but it is.
Oh, like looking at face value. Okay, let me think about that for a second. Well, most of the acids would do that. Like a fluoroantimonic acid is clear. Hydrochloric acid is clear. No matter how much you have. So you could fool someone into thinking that those are water, and then they would drink it and start burning up.
Wait, is there any poison that like if you touch it, nothing happens, but if you drink like one drop of it, dead?
Look at that. I think I have to think about that for a sec. I would expect there would be, because there are some poisons that can't get through the skin, but if you ingest it, it's gonna get through.
Oh yeah, what about the classic poison ivy? What about those? Is that like harmful?
No, not really. Poison ivy is caused by like a bad immune system. Yeah, I am teaching heredity. Poison ivy is caused by like a really bad immune system where it recognizes something it shouldn't. But if you like ingest poison ivy, it'll probably burn you or something, but it wouldn't like kill you or anything. It's not that bad.
All right, thanks, Dr. Keshav Ratra, but I think we have to get back to our class material now. Thank you for talking with us. Do you have any closing remarks?
I hope you guys don't try this stuff at home. I did, and it was somewhat deadly, so yeah. No, I'm capping. So I didn't actually do that. But let's just say I did.
All right. You want to hop off the call now, or are you staying for the lesson?
I will stay for the lesson. If you guys are doing a Kahoot at the end, I'm going to join.
All right, guys. So today is the last day of muscular system. I hope you enjoyed it more than the skeletal system.
Hey.
I like the integumentary system.
You guys are what?
I like the integumentary
You
system.
haven't even learned about it yet. How do you know that you would like it more?
Yeah, that's just the best. You get really interesting diseases.
All right, so today we're just going to be going over some common muscular diseases that you might come across in Scioli, as well as some muscular injuries. We'll be going over muscle fatigue. If we have time, we'll probably talk about some common muscles, but since we just talked about poison for like 25 minutes, I don't think we'll have time to get to that, so maybe just look through it on your own, because it's like not super important. And then we'll be doing Kahoot. It'll be reviewing everything that we've learned thus far, so hopefully we'll have enough time to actually finish it. All right, so the first disease on our list is something called myasthenia gravis, and it's an autoimmune disorder, which means that it means your immune system is like screwed up. And what happens is that your own antibodies that are usually responsible for destroying like antigens and bad viruses and bacteria in your body, they actually end up targeting your own receptors for acetylcholine at the neuromuscular junction. So if you think back to Tuesday when we talked about those acetylcholine receptors on the sarcolemma of the muscle cell, it's going to prevent the acetylcholine from binding to those receptors. So now we won't have the contraction that we want to see. And so often the symptoms that we see as a result of that, a lot of muscle weakness, especially in the face, as well as the weakness of eye muscles, or like ptosis, which is what you see in this picture here, as well as respiratory failure. Overall, what you'll get is just progressive weakness and degeneration of your skeletal muscles during voluntary movement. So,
what are the causes of it?
It's an autoimmune disorder, which means that as a result of your own body's condition, your own antibodies are destroying those acetylcholine receptors.
Wait, so for the causes, should I put the autoimmune part?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
And what are the symptoms?
Muscle weakness, eye muscle weakness, as well as respiratory failure, and just overall muscle weakness throughout your body.
What is the cause of this disease?
So it's an autoimmune disorder, which means that it's a disorder in your own immune system that causes it. Everyone good to move on to the next slide?
No.
Yes.
It can't stay on the slide for
Can you
20
explain
seconds.
it a bit more?
Sure. What's confusing about it?
Like, can you just go over quickly what it does?
Okay, so are you familiar with what your immune system does?
Yeah.
It fights off antigens, right, in your body, so you'll stay healthy.
Yeah.
In this case, your own immune system is basically like turning against yourself. And what happens is the antibodies that are usually responsible for keeping you healthy are actually going to go destroy those receptors for acetylcholine. So we need those acetylcholine receptors if we want to have muscle contraction. And if our antibodies are actually targeting them, then we're going to have really poor contraction as a result. Okay, so the next big disorder that you might see come up in Science Olympiad is muscular dystrophy. You guys might have heard of like Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It's an inherited disease. Maybe if you like took heredity and you learned about it. It's a sex-linked disease, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so
I've heard it.
it's inherited. So it means that you have a mutation in your genes that are responsible for coding the proteins that contribute to making up your muscle. So if your muscle proteins aren't being produced effectively, you're going to see progressive degeneration of your skeletal muscles. And so on the right here, you can see how the biceps and triceps in a person that has muscular dystrophy, they're significantly smaller. And that's just because the muscle proteins aren't being produced due to that inherited mutation that's preventing them from being, preventing your proteins from being produced.
I have a question.
What's up?
When you meant like inherited, did you mean like more of a likely chance of getting it by that, or did you mean like you actually are just born, you get it when you're born?
You're actually born with it, yeah.
Stay on the slide for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, so I would love to go in more depth about muscular dystrophy and like all the other diseases, but there's a lot of them. So you might want to look into it on your own time.
How common is muscular dystrophy?
It's pretty rare. I think it's like,
I have a low battery charge, so I need to come on another device.
okay, sure, no problem.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I think it's related to anatomy and physiology in general, but why do we get dizzy? Like when we spin around, why do we get dizzy?
It's actually, I think, due to like some kind of, it's like in your ear, right? You have like those, Keshav, remind me, what is it? It's like,
What?
Project on it in 4th grade, and it's the vestibular system
Yeah.
function.
They're like,
Your eyes show that you're not moving, but the fluid in your ears
yeah, it's like
tell
moving.
that you're moving, and then it
Mhm.
creates like this.
Thank you.
Is there a way to get rid of it or like cure?
Sorry?
Is there a way to like get rid of it or like a cure?
Get rid of what?
Is there a way to like get rid of it or like
Of
a cure?
muscular
Or something?
dystrophy?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you inherit it. So really there's nothing you can do except kind of like treat it. There's no way to like actually reverse it, but you can take like, I'm not exactly sure, but you can probably take like protein supplements, things that help you to try to build up your muscle mass more, and probably exercise would probably help as well. So I think that's why people, because you want to like try to stay out of a wheelchair for as long as you can.
Is it possible to get it without inheriting it? And if you haven't inherited it, is there a way to like reverse it?
I'm not entirely sure. To the best of my knowledge, I believe muscular dystrophy conditions are always inherited. Like it's due to different mutations in genes. Like there's multiple forms of muscular dystrophy, and I think it depends on like the type, like the specific gene that's being like mutated. And so currently gene editing isn't really something that we are using to like treat these kinds of diseases, but maybe in the future we would be able to reverse it, but that comes like with a whole slew of ethical issues too. All right, moving on. You guys were asking about botulinum toxin, I think. So this next disease is actually deals with it, and it's called tetanus. And you can get it when you have infection from this bacterium called Clostridium tetani, and that's what you see here on the right. So I don't know, have you guys ever heard of tetanus before? Like if you have like an open wound on your skin and someone tells you like, better treat that, you don't want to get tetanus. And like, have you heard of like the tetanus shot?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
Your dad got it? Oh no. Is he better now?
You're supposed to get it when you're like 11 or some certain age you get it.
Yeah, I believe so.
I just got it recently.
You need to have that shot if you want to like be able to go to school. Is your dad okay? Okay.
He was
glad to hear that.
11 years old, scared.
Yeah, so basically this bacterium can get in through open wounds in your skin. And so once that bacterium's in your bloodstream, it can release this toxin called either tetanus toxin or like botulinum toxin, and that's what causes this disease. And so what happens is you have like jaw cramping, sudden muscle spasms, and trouble swallowing. And the reason why that is because botulinum toxin actually targets the neuromuscular junction. So it's directly acting and preventing your muscle contraction. Yeah, and there's like this really like disturbing picture. Let me pull it up. I think I like came across it in one of my like anatomy exams before. It's like this guy is literally like Like, do you see that? Like, that was so, like, anyway. Because what happens is tetanus causes your muscles to lock up. This toxin causes your muscles to lock up, and what happens is you see, like in the case of lockjaw. Okay, I'm changing back, sorry. In the case of like lockjaw, your jaw cramping. What's up?
Did he get out of that position?
No.
Oh.
Wait,
Yes, what happens is botulinum toxin prevents the acetylcholine from being released at all. And that way we have something called flaccid paralysis. And that's what causes all of that like cramping, locking up of your muscles. All right, is everybody good?
I just think this class should be renamed to Distinct Photos 101.
Yeah, I don't know how today ended up being like all like the diseases and poisons and stuff. All right.
Can you hold? Can I just give me a second on the slide? I mean the tetanus slide. Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna move on just because we have
Wait,
that.
just 1 second.
Okay. I want you guys to have enough time to actually finish the Kahoot this time, so let's see if we can try to finish in like 10 or less than 10 minutes. Yeah, so this is, the slideshow is gonna be posted, and the recording will also be posted as always, so don't worry if you don't get it all in time. All right, next disease is called poliomyelitis. It's caused by an infection by a virus called the poliovirus. Have you guys heard of the poliovirus before?
Yep.
Yeah? Do you guys know like about the polio vaccine? Because I know that was a really big deal. I don't know if you guys have learned about it. But
Yeah, it rings a bell.
yeah, I think it was developed back in like 1950 by this guy. His name was like Jonas Salk. It was like a really big deal because we basically eradicated polio in the US. Like now there's like it's like very rare. I think it's like less than like 100 or like less than 1,000 cases a year. So it's very good that we got rid of it. But what happens is this virus infects your spinal cord. And do you know how we were talking about how all your motor neurons run through your spinal cord? Anyone remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically by infecting your spinal cord, poliovirus basically inhibits you from moving because your motor neurons are responsible for, helping all your different limbs move. And by targeting the nervous system and the spinal cord, you're gonna see irreversible paralysis, and that's often in the legs. So like, how like FDR had to be in a wheelchair because of his leg paralysis? It's like, that's an example of that.
Yeah, he had. Oh yeah, I remember now. I read this book of him, and it said, like he suffered. Yeah. He had like, and he pretended he tried to pretend he was walking. I remember that.
Yeah, I think that was a thing. That's true.
Yeah, with his crutches. Yeah.
Yeah, so some symptoms you see of poliomyelitis it's often you see in children. They're at most at risk, so that's why you want to get that vaccine when you're young. But you can die from the immobilization of your breathing muscles, and like there's also, you see stiff limbs a lot and like paralysis. A lot of people are wheelchair bound. But that's like an extreme case. I believe like it's not all of the cases of poliovirus when you're actually like paralyzed in your legs. Yeah, and then you can get it either by the fecal oral route. So that's like, well, that's like self-explanatory. You can also contract it through contaminated food. Everybody good?
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you do get poliomyelitis, if you have it, if you put the like the shot, will it stop, or will you still have it?
Well, it's only preventable by the vaccine, but once you have it, if you like weren't vaccinated, once you get it, it can't be cured. You can only like try to like treat the symptoms, you know? Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I'm done.
Moving on. Last one, myositis isn't really like a disease. It's more of, well, some of them are diseases, but for the most part, we just broadly refer to it as myositis if you have muscle inflammation. So that's just a condition. So some causes of myositis, it's more of like a side effect of several other conditions, if you want to think of it like that. So you're going to see muscle inflammation if you have muscle injury, infection, certain autoimmune conditions, and like drug side effects.
I don't want that. No.
So these are like the Division B diseases, I believe. I don't think they differ from Div C to Div B. Joes, do you know?
What?
Do you know if the Div B?
Yeah, I think they differ that much.
Can you go to the previous slide?
I want you guys to have enough time for the Kahoot. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep moving through. All right, let's try to get through this slide quickly, and then we only have one more, and then we can go to the Kahoot. So next thing we're gonna talk about are strains and sprains. So I don't know like if you guys know the difference between them, but basically what it is that a strain is an injury to your muscle or your tendon, while a sprain is an injury to a ligament. So guys, you remember what the difference between between a tendon and a ligament now, right?
Tendon is
Tendon
muscle to bone.
is muscle to bone. Ligament is bone to bone.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. So sprains and strains both affect that connective tissue that's responsible for connecting either your bone to your muscle or your bone to your bone. And like there's a lot of commonalities between the two, such that you can prevent them by avoiding exercise when you're tired, stretching properly before you exercise, not overexerting your limbs when you're like working out. And you should know that the most common location for a sprain is often at your ankle, and that just happens when you like twist it wrong.
On the guided note sheet, it says sprain affects blank and strifex.
Yeah, so tendon and ligament.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. You should also know that to treat that swelling that accompanies when you get a strain or a sprain, we use a mnemonic. It's RICE. So rest, R is for rest, I is for applying ice, C is for compression, and E is for elevation. So the combination of these will help you to get that swelling down if you do end up having a strain or a sprain. There's also the option of taking anti-inflammatory medication like acetaminophen and like other non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen. I would talk more about that, but I think we're about out of time. So just move on quickly. Okay, last thing for today, because everything after that is just some common muscles that you guys might want to go through on your own. Last thing is muscle fatigue. So That's basically meaning like when your muscles get tired out. And that happens when the rate of your ATP use in your muscles is greater than your rate of production. And we didn't have like enough time to talk about muscle metabolism. So I think like I briefly mentioned what ATP was yesterday. Just know that, like what Joe said earlier, ATP is this high energy compound. And in its bonds, when we break it down, it provides enough energy to drive these processes in cells. Like in the video we watched yesterday about like the cross-bridge cycle, we need ATP to bind to our myosin in order to have that contraction. Other things we see in muscle fatigue are depleted glycogen stores. I think we learned about glycogen as well, but glycogen is this big molecule, and it's a chain of individual glucose molecules like strung together, and they're stored in your muscles. And that's like the primary source that we turn to like, that's like the primary, I want to say like molecule that our muscles turn to when they need to break something down for energy. Oftentimes in muscle fatigue, we see a buildup of lactic acid. And so we also did not get a chance to talk too much about anaerobic respiration, but lactic acid, when you're low on oxygen, when your muscles are low on oxygen, they turn to an alternate pathway to produce energy that doesn't require oxygen. That's called anaerobic respiration.
Oh,
So,
wait. Is
yeah.
oxygen depth, like, suppose I sprint when I play tag for like 30 minutes, and then like the amount of oxygen is like how much I breathe, like after, you know, I breathe heavily after, like, suppose, you know, people start panting after they run.
Yeah. So that's like an example of like trying to like
repay the oxygen.
Like oxygen debt, I don't think it's like an actual like, there's like a certain number you can use to like quantify the amount of like oxygen that you, I don't know. It's just like your muscles don't automatically recover when you stop exercising. Like your muscles want to restore the levels of like ATP and like other molecules in there, like back to like this resting level that we want. So like it's not like just immediately when you stop running, like your breathing doesn't automatically go back to normal. Like you're gonna stay panting for like a good 5 minutes, or like for me like 15 minutes, because your like the pathway is now going to be on overdrive using oxygen to bring those levels of ATP back to normal. And yeah, I didn't finish talking about lactic acid. When you don't have enough oxygen in your cells, like getting to your cells, we turn to a different pathway. It's called lactic acid fermentation. And so that allows us to still make ATP even though we don't have oxygen. And it's a lot less efficient than the normal method that we use, which is like oxidative phosphorylation, which we learned about yesterday, but it still works. So, okay, so that's everything for today. Let's get to the Kahoot. I was going to talk about some like